Sophie Cunningham has now been fined 4 times this season?
The root of the problem is the officiating is dog shit. Bert and the WNBA actually likes this shit.
Caitlin Clark is fuming after the WNBA slapped another fine on Sophie Cunningham, all for speaking the truth. Because apparently in this league, you can elbow the face of the franchise, but you can't talk about it. This is bigger than just a fine, it's a full-blown meltdown.
So, Sophie Cunningham, it happened again.
Sophie Cunningham gets fined for calling out the referees, but this time, Caitlin Clark is reportedly furious. Not surprised, not confused, furious. Because how long can this nonsense go on?
It wasn't that long ago that Sophie Cunningham made this little TikTok video. And in said TikTok video, and you can see right here, this was July 23rd, she put this up. It said she got fined $500 by the WNBA for criticizing the refs. At one point in this song, she calls the referees useless.
Let's rewind a little. Sophie made a TikTok where she joked about the refs being useless. That clip alone cost her $500. Harsh? Absolutely. But it didn't end there.
She has come out, she's been fined again, by the way, by the WNBA because she made comments criticizing. When she told them and talked about getting fined for this on her podcast.
So this is what she said. If I was a ref, I know I mess up all the time. I'm not saying your job is easy, but when it's a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Sophie then had the audacity to speak honestly about it on her own podcast. She didn't rage, she didn't disrespect anyone. All she said was something like, if I were a ref, I'd mess up too, but when it's a simple call right in front of your face, what are you doing? And for that, the league slapped her with another $1,500 fine.
I mean, it's bad. It's real bad.
Let's be very clear. This wasn't about protecting professionalism. This was about punishing someone for not playing along. Sophie wasn't loud or reckless. She was honest. She even said reffing is hard. But apparently, in the WNBA, acknowledging bad officiating is a crime, especially when you're right.
But Sophie Cunningham said, hold my beer. I got a podcast. I got this platform. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm not going to toe the company line.
To find you again. They're like, I was like, I even told them, I even credited them that their job was hard.
Now here's the real kicker. Sophie's podcast, Show Me Something, is actually pulling numbers, and that's making things worse. Not for her, but for the league. She's being transparent, she's exposing what's really going on behind the curtain, and the WNBA, they're reacting like they've got something to hide. She even shared how her GM pulled her aside in front of the whole team to tell her about the fine, like she's in middle school.
Sophie Cunningham probably made about $7 or $8 grand from that first podcast.
And the irony? That same podcast episode, the one that got her fined, earned her more than $7,000. Not even counting the YouTube ads or clips going viral. So now, the league's trying to punish her with these small fines, but all they're doing is growing her platform. Every fine turns into another headline, another viral moment, another bump in podcast traffic. That's not discipline, that's free promotion.
That sounds pretty accurate for the WNBA officiating.
And fans are loving it. She's becoming the voice people didn't know they needed. While the WNBA is out here fining players for expressing basic opinions, referees continue to miss brutal fouls, like the ones thrown at Caitlin Clark all season long. People are starting to ask, rightly so, why words get punished more than actual violence?
It's a hilarious thing. I just think it's hilarious. If I'm not mistaken, all she said was talking about, the refs need to protect. I'm pretty sure. Was it not for her saying the refs need to protect Caitlin Clark?
Caitlin has taken more elbows, cheap shots, and blatant hits than anyone else this year. And how many fines have been handed out for that? Exactly 0. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham says refs should protect the face of the league, and she gets fined for saying that out loud. She literally defended Caitlin and got punished for it.
Essentially said the refs need to protect Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark said, finally someone did it. She basically talked about being the refs need to protect the face of the league.
This is what sparked the outrage. Clark knows exactly what Sophie's dealing with because she's the one who's been left on the floor with no whistle. So when Sophie spoke up, Caitlin didn't just support her, she felt seen. Because it's not just about Sophie, it's about all the players who feel the same way but can't afford to say anything. And here's the twist. Sophie's not even mad. She's laughing her way to the bank. The fines might sting a little, but the exposure, worth it. Every time the WNBA fines her, her audience gets bigger, her message gets louder, and people are starting to ask the uncomfortable questions the league doesn't want to answer.
Sophie Cunningham also getting fined for what she had to say about the referees.
Like, how does calling out inconsistency cost $1,500, but leaving Caitlin Clark lying on the court after a cheap shot costs nothing? Why is Sophie the only one paying the price for telling the truth? Because if we're being honest, the fines aren't about rules, they're about control. And Caitlin Clark, she's had enough.
Down, and DeWanna Bonner disappeared like a ghost.
Let's talk about Dana Bonner, shall we? Because woo, this one's messier than cafeteria chili on Taco Tuesday.
She's talking behind the scenes with her boo. Hey, you gonna tell you? Nah, fuck them.
Like, it's okay to be professional about it and like send a text to your teammates. Send a text and be like, hey, like, love you guys. Or you don't even have to say love you guys. Just like, hey, sorry this didn't work out. Good luck. Da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way to handle that.
So while the WNBA is out here busy finding Sophie Cunningham for, speaking facts, Dana Bonner quietly dipped out of Indiana like she was in a spy movie. No goodbye, no press release, no wish y'all the best group text. She ghosted the team, straight up. Sophie said it best on her podcast. DB disappeared like a ghost.
When we say DeWanna Bonner quit on her team, she literally quit on her team.
And get this, none of the players knew what was going on, like, at all. People were literally walking around the locker room whispering, "Hey, have you heard from DB?" The replies? Nope. Then the next day, "Yo, anyone heard from her yet?" Still crickets. One by one, teammates started realizing she wasn't coming back, and never planned to tell them.
While she was conspiring behind the scenes on how to get out of Indiana, how to take that money and run.
Meanwhile, she was still getting paid. You heard that right. While everyone else was busting their tails on the court, Dana Bonner was allegedly planning her exit behind closed doors, cashing those checks, and not saying a single word.
She left her teammates in the dark. She left her teammates just like us, wondering what the heck is going on.
And that silence, it wrecked team morale. This wasn't just a player leaving. It felt like betrayal. And that brings us right back to the league itself.
But the team is just as in dark as the fans were.
Because while Dana Bonner can vanish mid-season without so much as a post-it note, Sophie Cunningham gets hit with fines for saying words. "Oh, you thought we were done? Not even close." Let's get into the WNBA's double standards because this part, it's got fans fuming.
Hey, the root of the problem is the officiating is dog shit.
Let that marinate. A player gets fined for asking officials to do their job. Meanwhile, Alyssa Thomas shoulder checks Clark on national television and nothing. No fine, no warning, not even a fake "we're reviewing the play" statement, just shrug emoji. The message from the league is crystal clear. You can foul, just don't talk about it. That's not sportsmanship, that's damage control. That's PR 101 for don't make us look bad.
If you had referees that were actually doing their jobs, getting calls correct, and by the way, keeping some kind of law and order in the league, you wouldn't have a player that's having to go on their podcast talking about the officiating blows. There's a petition over the WNBA officiating, how bad it is, over Sophie Cunningham getting fined. That is great.
And fans, they're done. They're not just annoyed, they're rallying. A petition is circulating to fix WNBA officiating, and within hours, hundreds of fans signed it. There are comment sections flooding with support for Sophie.
Man, Sophie Cunningham in this podcast, it's just getting her in trouble, huh?
She's not just a player anymore. Sophie's become a movement. They're calling her the Fever Enforcer. And yes, there's actual merch being sold with that title. T-shirts, hoodies, probably bumper stickers too. And they're selling, because fans are putting their money where their mouth is. They're backing the truth teller, not the censorship machine. The WNBA wanted to shut Sophie up. What did they do instead? They made her louder.
The tickets for this game, for this All-Star game, they've dropped by 50%.
And while all this plays out, Caitlin Clark, the face of the league, is sidelined, watching her teammate take hit after hit just for speaking out. She's not just mad about the fines, she's mad because this league claims to support its players, but punishes them for defending each other. At some point, you've got to ask, what are we even doing here?
Dewana Bonner, you sly dog.
You've got one player ghosting her teammates like it's a dating app, another one getting fined for calling out fouls that we all saw with our own eyes, and a fan base that's more united than ever, not around the league, but against it. And somehow Sophie Cunningham is the villain? Let's get into it. The WNBA ratings bombshell that's got everyone sweating under those fluorescent boardroom lights.
Game tickets and kind of boycott this year All-Star game. That is because of the refereeing in regards to Caitlin Clark being targeted and pretty much not having a special whistle.
1.6 million viewers, average, with a peak of 2 million.
So here's the deal. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie. She's not just a star. She is the entire ratings engine strapped to the back of the WNBA like a jetpack. And even while she's sidelined with injury, her games are still pulling 1.6 million viewers on average. Some games even spike past 2 million. Injured, on the bench, still drawing numbers like a Super Bowl commercial.
I'm telling you, when Caitlin Clark comes back, numbers are going to go through the roof.
And we're not talking fringe cable networks either. We're talking ABC primetime. The network's year-over-year viewership is up 28%. Not because they suddenly improved the lighting, not because the league did a miraculous rebrand. Nope. One name, one reason, Caitlin Clark.
But obviously, you can see here, people were clearly selling these tickets before Caitlin Clark got injured for 300.
Now let's contrast that with a little dose of harsh reality. You know what the Liberty vs. Lynx finals rematch pulled in terms of ratings? 788,000 viewers. That's not a typo. That's the cold, hard number. Less than half the viewership of Caitlin Clark's average game. A championship-level rematch pulled fewer eyeballs than a midweek Fever blowout. Think about that. The league's own best versus best matchup couldn't compete with Caitlin in street clothes. So, to be brutally honest, and I mean brutally, if Caitlin Clark takes a nap, the league takes a nosedive.
This league is a joke, and all of this is on them.
But here's the kicker. Even knowing all this, the WNBA still won't protect her. They know she drives the bus, sells the tickets, and pays the bills. And somehow they're still letting her get thrown around like it's a rugby match. Why? Well, that's where Sophie Cunningham comes back in like the sidekick who suddenly steals the entire movie.
The league doing this? Yeah, Kathy Engelbert, you got nobody to blame but yourself for your league sucking. And because your league sucks at officiating and holding players responsible when they're doing flying clotheslines.
Because let's not get it twisted, Caitlin is furious. Not just about the fines, not just about the missed calls, but about everything. The lack of protection, the media firestorms, the double standards, the fact that every single elbow she catches seems to come with a shrug from the officials. And what's even worse, her teammates feel the same. They just won't say it.
This league is atrocious. Sophie is hilarious and so crazy honest.
They're whispering support in the locker room, patting Sophie on the back like she just dove on a grenade. Because honestly, she did. She said what they're all thinking, but none of them can afford to say out loud, especially not Clark. Not when the league's using her face for every commercial and every jersey sale while pretending she's just another rookie when the cameras are off. And now it's not just players and fans raising their eyebrows. The media's watching too.
The WNBA is getting blasted over this.
But instead of embracing that, the WNBA is out here handing out fines like it's Oprah's favorite things. You get a fine! You get a fine! Oh, you said something honest? That's another fine!
Why don't you quit bad-mouthing the fans? Why don't you quit labeling the fans yada, yada, yada?
At this point, it's starting to look like the WNBA is more interested in control than credibility. You've got players leaving without explanation, stars getting shoved with no consequences, and the one person who dares to speak out gets hit with a bill like she insulted the Queen.
It turns it into a bigger story for the WNBA.
The WNBA tried to silence Sophie Cunningham, and in doing so, they accidentally handed her a megaphone. Now fans are listening. The media is circling. Even Congress might be next.
I swear, I'm at the point where I think Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA actually likes this shit. It does make me wonder.
And if they're not careful, the very players keeping the lights on, Clark, Sophie, and the rest of that locker room, might decide it's just not worth it anymore. Because when your entire brand rests on a rookie who's being fouled like she's in a prison league, and your response is to fine her defenders, maybe it's time to stop asking players to be quiet and start asking yourselves why they're yelling. So yeah, the league may think it's business as usual, but Sophie Cunningham just exposed the cracks. And Caitlin Clark is clearly not happy. Like this video and smash the subscribe button to get more updates on WNBA.